Welcome to Romany News. Here you will learn everything you need to know about the English attack of 1598.
So first we're going to start with a little summary of the battle. The Battle of San Juan was a military and naval action on June 15, 1598, when an English force of 20 ships and 1,700 men under Sir George Clifford, Earl of Cumberland, overwhelmed and took the Spanish fortress Castillo San Felipe del Morro and thus took the city of San Juan, Puerto Rico. They were able to hold the castle for 65 days, but the siege took its toll and the English forces left, but not before plundering and burning San Juan to the ground. It was this attack that proved to be the only one to ever break through and capture El Morro Castle.
George Clifford was an English peer, naval commander, and courtier of Queen Elizabeth. He was notable at court for his jousting at the accession of day tilts, which were highlights of the year at court. George Clifford was born on August 8, 1558, at Bergham Castle in Westmoreland, the son and heir of Henry Clifford, by his second wife, Anne Dars. The Earl of Cumberland was another veteran of the battle with the Spanish Armada and a noted mathematician.
Sir Francis Drake was an English sea captain, privateer, slave trader, pirate, naval officer, and explorer of the Elizabethan era. Famous English corsairs. Also, the first attack was led by him in 1559 and consisted of a fleet of 26 ships with 1,500 sailors and 3,000 invaders. Drake entered the port in the night and burned some of the ships he found. The light from the fire allowed the natives to attack and forced Drake to abandon the bay.
Elizabeth I was Queen of England and Ireland from November 17, 1558 until her death on March 24, 1603. Sometimes called the Virgin Queen, Gloriana, or Good Queen Bess, Elizabeth was the last of 5 monarchs of the House of Tudor. Queen Elizabeth was in charge of sending an expedition led by the 3rd Earl of Cumberland, Sir George Clifford, so that he could seize San Juan and hold it as long as possible.
Antonio de Mosquera was the governor of Puerto Rico. In 1598, George Clifford attacked and, unlike Drake, was successful in landing on the beaches of Cangrejos. His men marched along the coast to what is known today as Condado. With this approach, Cumberland took the city and demanded the castle surrender. But when Governor Antonio de Mosquera refused, he ordered an attack on the fortification. The site of San Felipe del Morro facing land was destroyed. Part of the city was burned and sacked, and a shipment of slaves, sugar, ginger, and hides were taken.
The reasons for the attack were that Sir Francis Drake was defeated in 1595, and once the news reached Elizabeth I, she wanted revenge. The main reason was because England and Spain, for both political and religious reasons, were mortal enemies at the time.
One of the most famous English corsairs was Sir Francis Drake, who seized the Nombre de Dios port in Panama in 1572, along with a shipment of treasure from Peru that was destined for Spain. Drake was a great and careful strategist, and he terrorized the coast of Puerto Rico on 1558. Spain and Puerto Rico had 350 soldiers and militia. England had 20 ships and 1,700 men.
On June 16, 1598, Clifford landed his troops in the Condado area near the San Juan Islet's eastern side. The next day, the English attacked the area where the San Antonio Bridge is, the only land access to the San Juan Islet. The Spanish at the Boquerón battery held the English at bay until the next day, but on June 18, the English were able to silence the defensive outposts and march on San Juan.
The victory had cost Cumberland 60 casualties. However, as the same dysentery that had crippled much of the Spanish, it had then spread to Cumberland's men, incapacitating nearly 600 to 700 of them, as well as which included 40 accidents. With barely enough troops to crew his ships, much less maintain control of the prize he had seized from Spain, Cumberland finally decided to leave the island.
Before he left, however, he ordered the sacking of San Juan and then ordered the destruction of the crops. His troops stole the organ and bells from the cathedral and took booty ranging from 2,000 slaves to a marble windowsill that caught his eye. Cumberland sailed for England with some ships on August 14. Then, on September 23rd, Berkeley followed with his main body, along with around 70 artillery pieces from the fort. Clifford, on his return to England, was proclaimed as a hero of sorts, and as a consequence, with his limited booty, was well rewarded for his efforts, including a patent from the Queen. In the wake of the attack, Spain sent more soldiers, supplies, and weapons to rebuild the city and its defenses. From 1601 to 1609, the reconstruction of El Morro saw its toppled hornwork strengthened with the foundations still used today. The Spanish on San Juan built up its defenses and was next attacked by the Dutch in 1625. This time, however, the Spaniards were better prepared and were able to defeat the Dutch.